The NFL's behind-the-scenes action is hotter than ever, and now the Las Vegas Raiders are at the center of a bombshell that could change the course of their season. The big name? UM, a wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, who has been named a potential trade target, and the Raiders are being considered one of the most likely destinations. But is this the right move? What's going on with A.J. Brown? The $96 million superstar, one of the Eagles' biggest offensive weapons, started the 2025 season with a worrying performance. Over the first 2 weeks, Brown had just 6 receptions for 35 yards, a number far below what would be expected for someone of his stature in the league. And worse, in week 1, he had an alarming performance, with just 1 reception for a measly 8 yards. This has left Philadelphia fans and sports analysts wondering, is Brown's time in Philadelphia nearing its end? Even with below-average numbers, the Eagles managed a solid 2-0 record, which somewhat masked A.J. Brown's problem. However, rumors about his departure continue to grow. Will the Eagles trade their star player? The answer is still unclear, but the fact remains that if Brown is put on the market, the Raiders will have a unique opportunity to acquire one of the league's best wide receivers. The question everyone is asking is, should the Raiders seize this opportunity? This is where the scenario becomes more interesting for Las Vegas. The Raiders have an offense that, while talented, is still finding its rhythm. A player like A.J. Brown could be the missing magic touch to transform the team into an unbeatable force. His ability to make big plays, his experience, and his prominent presence could breathe new life into the Raiders' experience, especially in helping the quarterback connect with receivers more effectively. Imagine the impact of having Brown alongside other talents on offense. Opposing defenses won't have to worry about an extra weapon. However, the scenario isn't that simple. Trading A.J. Brown shouldn't be done without careful consideration. The impact of this move would be enormous, but the truth is that it also poses a specific risk. First, Brown's high salary, $96 million, is a heavy responsibility. For the Raiders, this could mean sacrificing important resources to maintain the team's financial stability. Furthermore, any trade for a player as big as Brown would require Las Vegas to give up valuable assets, such as draft picks or key players. This is where a big question arises. Are the Raiders ready to invest so much in a single player, especially considering they're in a phase of retreat and a search for consistency? While Brown is undeniably talented, the risk of giving up valuable assets could outweigh the immediate potential of his arrival. What if, in the end, he doesn't perform as expected? But regardless of the trade rumors, what really highlights the Raiders' momentum is a stark difference between their first 2 performances. The weeks leading up to the big matchup between the Las Vegas Raiders and Washington Commanders are filled with speculation and uncertainty. But none seems more intriguing than the question surrounding quarterback Jayden Daniels' presence on the field. Considered one of Washington's top prospects, Daniels now finds himself in a situation that could completely change the outcome of the game against the Raiders. Daniels, who had been shining with talent, suffered a knee sprain during Washington's loss to the Green Bay Packers, and his situation is now a complete unknown. The young quarterback is being kept under medical observation, and his absence could be a huge blow for the Commanders. But what does this really mean for the Raiders? So far, there has been no confirmation of Daniels' participation, leaving everyone in suspense. Commanders coach Dan Quinn was clear that the quarterback did not participate in practice on Wednesday, and that he will likely not be available until Friday. This means that, without practice, Daniels' chances of being on the field on Sunday are significantly reduced. Now, the real question is, how will this impact the Raiders and Pete Carroll's plan? With uncertainty surrounding the Washington roster, the spotlight is on Marcus Mariota, the 31-year-old veteran, who is expected to take over as starter if Daniels is unable to recover in time. While Mariota has been a starter in the NFL in the past, his last appearance as a starter was in 2022, adding fuel to the uncertainty. And this is where the Raiders come into play. Will Washington's backup be a chance for Las Vegas, or will he surprise with an unexpected performance? With this uncertain situation, the Raiders, under Pete Carroll, are preparing for all scenarios. They know they face a powerful Washington defense, but at the same time, they may have a chance to exploit the weaknesses at quarterback. Carroll, with his experience and cunning, is guiding his team to prepare for both the starter and backup Marcus Mariota, creating a game plan that considers both possibilities. However, this doesn't mean the Raiders can relax. Facing a backup quarterback can be an advantage, but it also presents a significant risk. If Mariota can adapt quickly and connect with Washington's targets, the Raiders' defense could be caught off guard. Furthermore, if Daniels returns in time, the Raiders' task will become even more difficult, as Washington's starting quarterback is known for his mobility and ability to make big plays. The details of this story are crucial. Injuries and absences always have the power to alter the course of a season, and what seemed like a relatively predictable game can turn into an unpredictable and decisive challenge for the Raiders. Being prepared for any scenario, whether facing star star Jaden Daniels or veteran Marcus Mariota is now a priority for Las Vegas. But it doesn't stop there. The Raiders' first game was a performance that gave fans a lot of hope. Beating the Patriots on the road is no easy task, but the weather did the job competently. The lineup worked solidly, giving the quarterback time to make reads and execute passing moves. The offense was balanced and, most importantly, efficient. With good connections between the run and pass, the Raiders seemed to have found a formula that could lead them to big wins. On defense, things weren't going well either. The pressure on the opposing quarterback was constant, and the Raiders excelled in tackling, ensuring the Patriots couldn't make any significant gains. The defense put in a solid performance, with the secondary creating decisive coverages and preventing long passes. These numbers, reflected in the Pro Football Focus evaluations, demonstrated a well-prepared, focused, and competitive moment. The 1-0 victory seemed to be just the beginning of a successful season. However, things would soon change. The sequence of games revealed a completely different scenario. Against the Eagles, the Raiders performed much as expected. The loss highlighted weaknesses that had gone unnoticed in the previous victory. The offense, which had been so balanced against the Patriots, now found itself lost and ineffective. The passing game, which had been a strong point in Week 1, was now ineffective, with the quarterback struggling to connect with his receivers. The offensive line was also ineffective, allowing constant pressure on the quarterback and compromising playmaking. The defense, which had performed well in Week 1, was a shadow of its former self against the Patriots. Pressure on the quarterback was lessened, and the secondary's coverage was a notable weakness. The Eagles, with their sharp precision, seek to advance with ease, exploiting gaps in coverage and tackling. As a result, the loss was painful, leaving the Raiders feeling that the time has not yet come for them to be consistently competitive. In the PFF numbers, the difference was glaring. The offense's ratings plummeted, with a mediocre offensive performance and an offensive line that struggled to block. The defense, which had excelled the previous week, dropped significantly, especially in coverage ratings. Now, with a 1-1 record in their pocket, the Raiders face the difficult task of correcting the mistakes that emerged in Week 2. The transition from such a solid performance to such a glaring setback requires quick adjustments, and time is short. The offensive line needs to improve its quarterback protection, and the passing game needs to find more consistency. Receivers need to be more involved in plays, and the quarterback needs to regain pressure and execute the best plays. On defense, the biggest challenge will be correcting coverage flaws, which were alarmingly exposed against the Eagles. Pressure on the quarterback needs to be more effective, and the secondary needs to communicate better to prevent long passes. Given the challenges the Raiders face, including the possible absence of Jaden Daniels against Washington, the uncertainty surrounding the A.J. Brown trade, and inconsistent performance in the first few weeks, what is the Raiders' biggest priority to ensure a strong performance in the coming rounds? Strengthening the defense, improving the passing attack, or pursuing a bold move in the trade market? Leave your opinion here, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later to update you with the latest Raiders news.